Hey everybody, OriginalRen here from the forums, and welcome back to the Food Novel Podcast. Today is episode 8, a little bit out of order in terms of which episodes we are recording. But we finally got our two gentlemen on board for our visual novel topic of Hoshizora no Memoria, which today we'll be talking about. Kind of the protagonist, the heroines, and just things about the game in general, and what we enjoyed and what we didn't like. And so today I have with me two very special guests. And I have Teddybaire and Akkisblade from the forums. So if you gentlemen just want to introduce yourselves to everybody who is watching or listening to this podcast in this case. Teddybaire, go ahead. Tell me where you're from and why you wanted to be a part of this episode.
Alright, I'm from America, and I've wanted to try talking more about Hoshimemo and other visual novels and fall novel for a while, so I thought this would be the perfect place to try.
Is this your first podcast, Teddybaire?
Yes.
Well, welcome to the Food Novel Podcast. You'll get used to it, and everyone has a first time, so don't be too afraid. All right, very nice to meet you. Thanks for joining. Akis, please, where are you from, and why are you here?
Well, I'm Akkisblade, and I'm from Mexico. And I decided to join the podcast again because I really like the experience, and Hoshizora is one of my favorite visual novels, so I decided to join it.
And this is your second podcast, or you've been on other ones before? Which other podcast were you on?
No, this is the second podcast I've been on. I was on the translator versus author one.
Yes. And how did you enjoy that? You said you had a good experience, but, I mean, you could be honest. If you want to say it was absolute trash, I'm okay with it.
No, it was kind of fun. I mean, at first, in some moments, I believe it was with the major. There was like this little disagreement between the two of us, and it was a little different. I didn't expect it at all.
All right, well, we will probably have differing opinions when it comes to this episode as well. I definitely probably have differing opinions than a lot of people in this room. I will also be part of this podcast episode. I apologize, just to get this discussion going. I'm OriginalRen. I'm from the forums. I'm from America. Minnesota, to be exact, cold state. I wanted to be a part of this episode because I guess I kind of am just going to be part of this episode. Also, I have some pretty strong opinions about some routes in this game, so I'm just going to state them, and everyone might hate me for it, but that's okay. All right, guys, so with that, let's jump right in and start here. So let's just talk about the game in general before we get into any of the specifics. For those of you who aren't aware, the topic is Hoshizora no Memoria. If you've not played this game, I recommend it. Before we get into this, I just want to remind everybody that there will be spoilers in this episode. If you have not played this game, I recommend not listening to this podcast unless you are willing to be spoiled. We will go into discussion of the routes and specific parts of the game, so I will reflect that in the description of this episode as well as before we start here. So, if you don't want to watch or listen, I recommend shutting it off right now. All right, so with that, let's jump right in. So Hoshizora no Memoria has reached a popular hype in the full novel community. It is one of, in my own opinion, the most suggested games by the members on the forums. You look at any of the introduction threads for people introducing themselves, they'll say play Hoshimemo, or they'll talk about key games and things like that. So I ask you guys, what introduced you to the game, and why did you decide to play it? Style-wise, what about the game did you enjoy, and what didn't you like? This can be specifically the story itself. It can be a specific point from the game. It can be anything. So I'll open this question up. Akis, I'm going to have you start this one. So tell me about the game. What got you into it? How did you find out about it? And what did you like and dislike about it?
Well, to be honest, it was a year ago. I was watching the World God Only Knows, and it kind of got me into visual novels, eroges, and all that stuff. I started searching for them, and I got to Fuwa. Once I was there, I began to look to all those novels that could be interesting, and I found Hoshizora. Once I began playing it, I almost fell in love with it. I mean, I love the sprites, the event CGs were awesome, and the background music is one of my favorites in most of the games I've played.
Okay, what kind of, interesting you say that, what kind of hooked you in initially? I know a lot of times when usually visual novel readers start a visual novel, there usually has to be a hooking point. Was it just straight out the art and just the style of it, or was there a point where you're like, wow, I really like the mystery, for example, because there was a lot of like mystery behind like who is this mysterious person that we're talking about in the first scene? Was there any specific point in the game that kind of just like really hooked you in, or was it just overall I liked the appearance, I liked the way it looked, and I liked the way it's telling its story?
Well, I really like the characters, especially both twins. And well, yeah, I guess I kind of want to know who was this mystery girl who we got introduced to in the beginning of the game.
All right, very interesting. Teddy, what about you? What do you think? What kind of got you all into this?
Well, I think it was because of the art style. I know people say you shouldn't read a book by its cover, but it was different to me. It seemed kind of more colorful than most visual novels I've seen. So it just kind of brought me in from just the art alone, and then the characters sold me for the rest of the story.
It's very interesting you say that, because that is the exact same reason why I started this game as well. It was literally the art style. I had just gotten back from Japan and was looking for a visual novel, and I went on and sorted popularity, clicked one, I'm like, yeah, this seems kind of colorful, let's play this. And that's what actually started me to play the game, and I did play it through. Now, did both of you play the game 100% through, or did some of you stop at certain points?
I played all the way through, but I would stop and just pick back up where I was.
No, that's understandable. I mean, did you play all the routes? Because this game is structured, obviously, in a way that you can't play every single one unless you beat the one before it. So I'm just curious if you played through everything.
Yeah, I've played through all the routes.
Akis, did you also play through?
Yeah, I've actually replayed it.
Ah, okay. All right. What's something you really... Okay, because you kind of talked about like what got you hooked and what you enjoyed about it. What's something you really didn't like about it? And I'll open this question up to any of you guys. Just disliked in general. It could be like, I didn't really like the way they did this. It can be a specific topic, if we can jump into that after, or it could just be an overarching, like, I didn't like the fact that you look like a piece of butt, or so, I don't know, whatever you want to say. So go ahead, any one of you.
Well, I would say it was kind of Kusama's route. Not all of it, just kind of the general idea of it, of like being the ghost and everything, and the fact that he was there like made her stay. I don't know. I just felt that was kind of didn't really sell me on it.
That's funny because that's probably one of my favorite routes. How dare you? I'm just kidding. But okay, interesting. I mean, okay, all right. What about you, Akis?
Well, I think that what I didn't like was what should have been Mare's route. I mean, it was one of the routes I was expecting the most, but it's pretty much non-existent.
All right.
Good point.
Yeah, it really isn't there. It's funny too because my least favorite part about the game was the Deus Ex Machina crap that got pulled in Yume's route. I did not like the fact that the game just completely it made no sense to me after that route, and just the magic of your mom, and I'm like, excuse me, and it was really I didn't enjoy that ending, and it just really ruined the game for me, where everything else kind of, was supernatural, but at least it somewhat made sense. I'm sorry. Because Yume's route, there is no canon to it. You can either have Yume's route where Mare's the child, or you can have Mare's route where Mare's the god, and Yume just disappears. And it's like, you can't do that. I don't like when they do that in the game. You can't have like two different endings. It has to be somehow linked together. Because then you release a fan disc, and it's like, well, what's the true? It's kind of stupid. But... that's just my opinion about it. That's what I didn't like.
You mentioned that. You mentioned that, and the more I think about it, you're actually probably right. The thing I didn't like about Yume was the fact that it seemed like you got connected to all of the characters throughout the entire common route, and then even more so once you did all the other girls' routes. But then you get to Yume, a character that you didn't really know much about besides what the main protagonist would tell you, and it didn't feel like you really connected to her, so if she ever did anything to mean to him, like have an H scene and then just kind of reject him afterwards, it kind of makes you dislike her a bit.
Yeah, I don't know, it's just like, you build up all this mystery on a character, and then all of a sudden you're like, but you have to play all the other routes first, and then you're going to actually like these characters, then you probably won't give two craps about Yume anymore, because literally the only thing that changes is one small scene every time you play a new route, and it's not even important, and you're like, well, guess that character's just going off into the nobody cares. It's just the ending, like you said, it's just the ending, like, I don't know, like, the rest of the games made sense when you played Yume's route, like, Asaha's scene comes back into play with the wish on the roof, and it makes sense, like, hey, this could have still happened, just in a different, you never dated canonical sense, and then it just completely just went out the window and was like, no, screw you. This, apparently you went back in time. I don't really understand anything.
No, yeah, that got me really confused. I didn't really know what happened. I first thought that maybe the first part was like a dream, or that he went back in time. I didn't really get what happened there.
Yeah, same here, honestly.
Well, we can go into that a little bit later, but we'll kind of jump in more to the specifics now. Let's just talk about the characters first before we get into all the detail, and then we can go into that. So let's talk about our protagonist, Kogasaki Yu. I hated that name, by the way. It just confused the hell out of me when it kept saying you. I'm like, are you talking to me, or are you talking about the... Oh, okay. So what do you think of him as a protagonist in the story? Do you think he fits the role well? What kind of traits do you like about him, if any, and what don't you like so much? Feel free to compare him to other well-known protagonists that you find fit their stories well. So if you want to pull from another visual novel, you're more than welcome to. But what did you like about him? I'll open this question to, I guess we can do Aki's in this case. What did you like about the protagonist, and what didn't you like, and do you think he fits the story well?
Well, I do think he fits the story well, and I really like how he does what he needs to, when he needs to. He's there to support his friends, and when you get to a certain route, he's there to support the girl. He's not being pushy, but he's also not letting her forget that he's, sorry for repeating it so much, but that he's there to help her out.
All right, interesting. Teddy, what do you think?
Well, with Kogasaki, he fits the story. It was just more of like only in certain routes would I like him better. It sometimes felt like he changed just a little bit, not drastically, but just enough.
Can you name any specific routes that you enjoyed him in, and which ones you didn't?
I liked him in Mira's route, what little there was. Asaha's route, I liked him a lot, because he was kind of just always there for her, but didn't really try and push her too hard into like...
It's interesting you say that. You keep going, sorry.
It's all good. And what one I didn't like? Blank. Shinami. Yeah. I don't know, it felt like... I never felt the whole, how they always say he's a siscon throughout the whole thing. I never got that impression from him. I thought he would just kind of dote on her every now and then.
Yeah, that's a good point. I guess what I didn't like, I didn't really like him as a protagonist. I mean, he fit some roles well, but like you said, Nasal's wrote, he wasn't too pushy. I don't like protagonists that are like, they're nonchalant, but at the same time they're very pushy. And it's like when this girl is telling you to not really get involved, and then you're kind of just like that, hey, what's up? Oh, I'm not saying anything bad, and they kind of just like follow you around all the time and are like trying to like be there for you, but it's like when the person keeps pushing away and says no, and then at the end of the day they're just like, oh, just kidding, okay, I'll open up to you because you've been so nice by just standing around and just literally just pretending that nothing's happening and trying to make me happy. I mean, that's good in some extent, but then I just feel like you're being too pushy and you don't know when to just back off. And he just kept like, it's like they have realizations of like how they can solve everyone's problem, and it doesn't, I don't know, and they just think they can solve everything when that's not true. They can't just solve everything.
Yeah, I can see that.
No, but I mean, what you guys, so you liked him in certain routes, not other routes. Like, what's a trait that, like, what is something you really liked in the novel that he did, just specifically? Any
I like
one of you.
I like that he takes stuff from other people. Like, not like physical stuff. I mean, like, he takes personality types from other people. Or at least I felt at times.
Explain that a little bit. What do you mean?
I think he felt like sometimes he'd be a little more jokingly in some routes. And sometimes I felt like he'd be super serious. I mean, yeah, once you get into the meat of a route, it'll be super serious. But, like, he was kind of playful and, like, Komomo's route. And, like, kind of like how Kusama was. But more of a, like, serious kind of pushing away, like, introvert kind of to Always route. As in, like, how she was.
That's interesting, too, because you're right. He kept teasing Komomo, and then, like... Oh, I hated Azusa's route. I don't know. I'm sorry. I'm going to go on a tangent about that sometime in this podcast. God, I hated that route so much. But, no, I could see that. Like, well, see, that's what my point was. I don't like that he kept being pushy. Okay, Ali's a huge bitch. I'm just going to say it straight. I apologize. She's a giant bitch, and I hated her. And I was just like, okay, why are you continuing to try to even be friends with this person? I would be like, you know what? Fuck you. I would seriously just walk away and be like, I'm not dealing with this. And nobody... And, like, he doesn't. He keeps trying, and I'm like, I don't want to read another scene of her telling me to go jump off a bridge, and the same thing for 20 scenes. It's the same thing. It's nothing. Where is the plot in this? I helped you on the roof and made you really happy, and even the next day you were like, nope, not going to come to the club. Nope, not going to talk to you. And I'm like, you know what? You ungrateful little person, you. I do not like you, and you are a terrible human being. And then I shut her off. And that was funny because that was in the common route that they did that. And I immediately was like, I'm already done with you. I don't even want to go down your route. But I knew I had to get to the ending. So I was like, well, this is just a little bullshit. I don't know. That's just a tangent on that, which I guess is a great tangent into the routes. Let's go right into Izuzu's route, shall we? We'll start with that one. I know it's going to be a little bit out of order, but describe this route. What? Just I don't know. Just go on something. You've clearly heard what I have to say about it. So please share your thoughts.
The route. I mean, the route was just kind of. It felt like it was a giant tease, and like it kept me suspenseful, I guess, kind of by the fact of like, he keeps on pushing her away type thing, and it was kind of fun to try and see what he was trying to do, even though I personally did not know what he was trying to do at all until it finally became clear towards the end. But the thing that bothered me the most was definitely the H scenes, like. God.
Can't have sex on a beach. Too much sand in your vagina. I don't even know why they even did that.
They just threw it in for a fetish, and I mean, I would at least want them to have some point. It was just it was just the lolly school swimsuit, and they had to throw it in there because she's a lolly.
It's bad. It's such a bad scene. It was just like, look at all these people on the beach, and then literally 3 lines later, let's have sex. And I'm like, you just said there were a bunch of people on the beach. You can't just...
Don't worry, they won't see you.
Or maybe they would like to see them.
I'm sorry. It was just poorly executed. And also, her route itself was just so melodramatic. Why are you crying because I can't see the stars from my homeland? Who the fuck cares? I don't care. Like, that's not something you should cry about. When you're older, okay, get some money and go back to where you live. It's not like you're dead and stuck in Japan for the rest of your life. Like, I don't understand. And I just didn't feel pity. I don't know. It's just... Her route itself and just the solution to her route was just poorly executed on my belief.
And of course, you can put a telescope back together by the power of, I don't know.
Of course, and it just happens to break in your hands for no reason. That also makes sense. But I just, well, okay, no, wait, that's because Mary. Okay, never mind. That was dumb. But you can't put whatever. No, that's just interesting. And that's also why she's a huge bitch, because she's like, oh, Tsunami broke my telescope. And I'm like, are you blind? Like, are you just blind? Are you... Okay, whatever. You know what? I'm done with you. Akis, you didn't share your opinion. What do you think about the route?
Oh my gosh, you guys are so right in most of the things. I mean, that part was really exaggerated. You can't really be pissed about that. I mean, the telescope didn't even work. And then no one can break a telescope just by holding it. It's ridiculous. Well, I think that the only thing I really liked about the route was the ending. And
Okay,
that was pretty much because of the event CG.
What
Pretty
was
much
her
because
ending again? I don't even
It
remember.
was
'cause I
where they
didn't-
went back to the country. I think it was
Oh
Australia.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. It was nice CG. I'll give him that. Yeah, that's right.
God, I have such a bad route. You can't see my broken telescope. What are you, nuts, lady? Like,
Even if it wasn't broken.
I can feel your despair.
I don't know. That's just my opinion. I'm glad we all agree on that. Well, I guess then, the common thing to go into here is her route unlocks Shinami's route, so we can jump into that route next. Now I'm going to open this question up to you guys
God.
first. I am not going to state my opinion about it. I will go and state my opinion about it when everyone's finished, but we'll start with you, Akis. Shinami was obviously involved in her route a lot, especially with the breaking of the telescope and just her. You saw a lot of character development from Shinami, and I'll give them that because of this, because you saw a more serious side when something actually happened, because Shinami throughout the entire game was just the most annoying thing in the entire world, and then you get this in the route where she breaks the telescope and she's like, oh, crap, and then she actually starts becoming like secluded in her room, and she actually starts doing something for a serious sake of being a friend with somebody. And Izuzu still was a bitch. But the point is, like, what, I don't know. What do you think of Shinami's route? Go ahead, Aki. So let's open it up in general.
I don't really know. I told you that I've played Hoshizora 2 times. The first time, Shinami was so annoying for me, I skipped the whole route. And, well, the second time, I decided to read it, even if it had Shinami.
What is your final opinion after reading it the second time?
That it's not really necessary thing. I mean, you get a lot of background on the main character and Shinami, but it's nothing you could call important. You can't read the whole visual novel, well, all the parts left, and it doesn't really change a lot of things. Well,
I'm gonna jump in there and actually disagree with you on that point, because while I hate Shinami as a character, I think her route should have been called something like the family route, because I think it does a lot of reflection on the adults of the story. And one thing I liked about Hoshi Memo is the fact that it didn't just focus on the protagonist, it actually focused on a different group of people that were originally part of the Tenkuru, and that it focused on the adults and the parents. And I thought that was really interesting, because like it didn't just focus on the high school setting, it went to these adults, and like what was his mom like what was her relationship like, and you didn't need to address that because it really didn't have anything to do with the protagonist, or but you kind of find out where their background came from, why they were different children, and like it wasn't overly done. It wasn't like my family, it wasn't like a okay, I don't want to spoil that game, never mind. But it wasn't like a, family honor, rah, 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 and somebody killed somebody, or, something just like way out there. It was just more, hey, I stole your girl, and then you died of star cancer. Whoops, I feel like kind of a bitch. All right, and here's your girl, because like she still ended up falling in love with I think it was I might be a little messed up with this, but I think it was Chinami's dad who had the star cancer. They were dating originally, and then he had Ren reap the memories of her, so then she fell in love with him, which is Yu's dad, and then he saw that guy was dying, and then she still ended up loving him anyways, and then he's like, wow, I feel like a huge bitch, and then like just was like, hey, you know what, go back together with him before he dies, because he's about to die, and then like she ended up falling, in love with him, and then eventually after that she finally ended up marrying, and that's why they had 2 different children. But anyways, I like that. It was a lot of family route, and that's why I have to disagree with you. I feel like her route did play an important role into it. What I don't think was important was the fact that you decided to throw in 8 scenes in that route just because you thought it was funny. God, and then people will be like, those are the best 8 scenes. I'm like, are you freaking nuts? Do you even know how to, good games? God. But her route itself was important, I feel, and that's why I have to disagree with you on that. But that's just my opinion, I guess. Teddy, what do you think about it all?
Well, The thing is that I felt when starting going through most of the game, Chinami was like the last route I did before going into the Mystery Girls route, because I just didn't like her, and I'm kind of like, well, fuck, he's on that. But yeah, the family part was the only good part to me about it, because I mean, for the longest time I thought they were just full brother and sister, and so they couldn't even go that all the way. They just had to change that at the end. I thought they just showed up that they're half brother and half sister during her route, and I didn't know that throughout the entire rest of the game.
I mean, look at her hair. Nobody.
I know, but it's anime. I mean.
Yeah, but at least when you look at Kokoro Function, at least Asagawa and the main character look similar and have similar eye color. This was just she doesn't even look anything like you. It's completely way out there.
Every time I saw her hair color, I always thought about bubblegum.
Well, I mean, I don't think even Yo or Yami either have don't they both have just blue? One has blue and one has pink, right?
And you had a more. Is it blue? I don't even remember his hair color.
I think it's blue. And then their parents, she had brown hair. I thought her mom.
I think she was kind of like a redhead.
Was she a redhead?
I think so.
Oh,
it was more like
right.
like a wine color, something like it.
Yeah. Okay.
I think his mom did have red hair, didn't she? I feel she did.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So they at least reflected that pretty well. But no, I don't know. It's just Chinami. But
it was just H scenes, and of course they have the little sister.
I just didn't feel that arc of the Azuzu and Chinami relationship. I just hated those characters. Oh, they just were bad in general. And people will be like, Chinami was the best. And I'll be like, how? How can you think she's the best? Her route is good. I'll give it to them that. And this is what the confusing part. I don't like the character, but I do like the route. It's done effectively. But when you don't like the character, you're going to hate the H scenes, and you're going to hate everything about the character when they appear in the route. The whole weird crap where Ren visits her in some dream, the supernatural stuff in some of these routes just confuse the crap out of me. I don't know. Does anyone else feel that way, or maybe I'm the only one?
No, you're definitely not alone.
I wasn't really confused except by the Deus Ex Machina.
I mean, it might have to do with just the translation as well. I mean, I'm not going to say in some translation's terrible, but I mean, it might just have to. I lost in what the point of what was supposed to be happening was. I kind of got it in the end when I really boiled it down, but it was really confusing.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
Did that for a couple routes.
Yeah. I mean, Kosami's and Komomo's, which we'll jump into next year, were the most. I think they made the most sense once you pieced them all together. And even if it was supernatural, at least made sense. And their routes are important for describing just the every route in this game I enjoy because they're important in describing the just the overall arc of the story. If you don't play one run, you're not going to understand something. You understand where these star gods come from based on Komomo's and Kosami's road, and then you realize, oh, this could be what Mare is, and then what Ren is, and then they each have their little item or whatever. But anyways, let's jump into the twins route, I guess, because of that. We'll do both because there's no point. They're pretty much the same route, just in different viewpoints. I mean, I guess, okay, well, I like Kosami more because she had bigger tits and she was way better looking. I'll just be honest right there. Not going to lie about that. And also, I just liked her subtlety. Her CGs were cuter, too. Komomo looked like she was just too tsundere for me, and I didn't like it. And I was like, you're just I'm going to beat you up type deal and punch you. And it's I hate that. I hate that. It's dumb about Japan. But I guess since I'm talking, I'll start with this. I really liked Kosami's road because I liked the fact that there was a struggle. There was plot points in it, and I can't think of any right off the top of my head. But in terms of just how the story was told, you kept wondering. I felt that it was dragged a little bit. I felt that the fact that, especially with Komomo's route too, they kept hinting at okay, you having this scene every single day, but we're never really what is it? Give me it just felt like there was a lot of stuff that was being dragged, and it could have been sped up a little bit in terms of what was told and how it was all finished. And that was my one pet peeve with it. But overall, I think the route was good. I think they were the best route in general. So I mean, it's I don't know, but what do you guys think? I guess I'll open up to you guys.
Well, I think well, my favorite routes in the game are both Komomo's and Kasame's ones, but I think I don't have a favorite one between those two. I mean, they're both cute in their own way. Uh, what I didn't like about Kasame's route was what happened after the age scene, that Joe kind of falls asleep and she leaves like to sacrifice herself. I mean, she has someone to rely on, and then it's like all over the start again.
Yeah, when you're thinking about it, you're having sex with a dead person. I mean,
Ophelia.
I mean, like
Well,
living, like she's pretty much immortal. So like, would you want to live for the rest of your life? Like that's just kind of, it's really weird. Like I don't blame her necessarily for wanting to do that because it's not like she's being selfish. I don't think she's being selfish. Like I think that's what you're trying to say. But like, it's like she's already dead. It happened. Like you should be dead. You shouldn't be. It's weird to just keep you around and realize like I'm never gonna age. Cool.
well, if anything, I'd say it's one of Hoshizora's special thing. I don't think I've ever seen outside of a monster theme erogen, sex with a ghost.
Interesting. Yeah, that is
But
true.
yeah, and one thing, if I remember correctly, Kusama stated that she could disappear anytime. She didn't really know. She wasn't that stable.
Yeah, but you mentioned the whole she never ages, but I just thought of when she died, how old was she again? She was definitely younger, right?
You're right. I think she does. Maybe she does age. Maybe I'm wrong about that. I forgot what their description was with that. But the point is, like, she doesn't.
Yeah.
She doesn't like die. So it's like because you're already dead. So it's almost like just like a huge. I don't know.
Uh, like when it came to her route, I mean, I liked her route, and it definitely had the most texture. I don't know how to describe it. It had the most ideas to it. I felt it basically brought a lot of stuff together and it explained a lot of stuff throughout the rest of the route, but you had to get to the ending. But I was kind of agreeing with Aki's when it came to like the H scene. After the H scene, she leaves, but he kept on saying basically the same things over and over again. I don't know why it took so long for her to understand that. I don't know. That was my best.
What do you mean the same things over and over? I'm kind of confused about that part.
Like he keeps on trying to say that like he's there for her, and he keeps on trying to show that multiple times, and then he just keeps on thinking that she's like should die or like yeah. That was the main part, right? I'm trying to remember.
See, and that's the emotional build-up, yeah, and that's exactly what I was talking about. Why I don't like him as a protagonist. I'm not saying give up on somebody that wants to like kill themselves, but like he's just so pushy, and it's just like eventually she'll break, eventually we'll fall in love because you keep like coming after me. But it's like that's just like a pushy love. It's not like we really fell in love, and I kind of don't like that in stories. That's just my personal opinion. I know some people do like that kind of stuff, but I just feel he was almost too attached sometimes. It's like this person wants to make up their mind, and it's like they are already dead. You need to realize that, and like you can't, you're taught all this stuff about you can't tempt fate. You shouldn't change. You shouldn't change what already happens. Like that's just the way it is. Like she died, it happened, and then they're like playing the role of God. And I don't like the whole playing the role of God thing.
Yeah. When it comes to Komomo, I mean, basically same route, but I liked Komomo. Not like her character as much. She was alright. She was just basically a cardboard cutout of a tsundere. But I think that was the main reason I got the game, honestly. I love the twin tail hairstyle. It's I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's just like a weird little fetish of mine. I don't know.
That's okay. Everyone has a hair fetish. I know Aldred's into ponytails. Oh, he's really into ponytails. But No, everyone has their little hair thing. I mean, yeah. I mean, some people just get attached to the story because they think a character looks good. I played a visual novel because I thought a character looked great, and then I found out that they're the worst character in the game, and I'm like, well, shit. But I mean, it just comes down to the style. I mean, any other thoughts about just those routes in general? Because I mean, we could jump into the other routes here if there's really nothing left.
I'm good.
All right. I guess let's jump into just Asao's route because she's just kind of in her own little. I felt Asao was just she's the default route. She's kind of just there, and she's just like I felt that it was just like a story. It was it was a tale, and it could be considered its own little thing. I don't really think she's necessary for any other part of the story except for maybe understanding like how to reap nightmares and stuff. But I don't really feel she didn't really add anything to the story in general. I felt her drama with her ear thing was totally over the top and just extremely melodramatic. Like, I did not even notice, like, that was supposed to be a thing throughout the entire game. And then, like, they, like, did that when they were walking up, and he's like, I noticed that her ear is blind. I'm like, what? She's deaf in one ear? Like, you didn't hint at that, like, you hinted at the fact that she always would be on your right side or whatever, but it's like, that doesn't make me piece together, well, she must be deaf. Like, I'm sorry, like, I don't think of that. So I don't know. That kind of bugged me. But I guess Akis, what did you think about that?
Well, I think it's one of the words I like the least because it doesn't have that supernatural thing in it. It's just plain boring, you could say it that way, if you compare it. It's normal stuff. Any other rogue could have it. Well, yeah, about being deaf, I mean, no one has that reaction if you've been found out. It's just weird, and it's weird.
I agree. I don't think you'd break up with somebody just because, you've been nice to them the whole time. They're like, you're just going to hate me for being deaf. Excuse me. I mean, maybe it's a Japanese thing. I mean, I understand the whole handicap thing in Japan and its culture, but, like, man, I didn't think that would be that big of a deal. I mean, when you guys were getting along just fine, apparently now there's drama in our relationship because I don't understand.
Yeah. It was a little out of left field for me. I don't know. I felt like they kind of threw it in there just to kind of piece up the ending. It was like, she got hit by a car, right? Or something like that.
Something like that.
She was like chasing after a star or something like that, show her passion for the stars or something. And that's what I mean.
Like the way you worded that. It's some passion for the stars.
Well, I mean, I don't want to, like, do her a disservice or anything. I liked her character, honestly. Because, I mean, she was the first route I did. And I initially
most routes people do start out.
Well, yeah. I mean, I was initially going to do Komomo's route first. But kind of grew on me because I liked her character. Because I liked how, like, it seems like the childhood friend never wins. I'm kind of on board with that. But the route, I mean, just the ending. I don't know. I didn't like the ending.
And the ending was bad. I didn't really like it. Let's go to the thing and then hear Dad. That's like, it just stopped caring about the protagonist. It's about like, I'm going to solve your family problems. I'm a good guy. now let's have sex. Like, this is pretty much how I felt that ending was pieced together.
What was the epilogue to that?
I don't even remember.
I don't want to know if there's a maid scene.
They were like graduating or something, and they were like, I don't even remember. They were sitting on the top, and they were like, "Let's continue to be together forever, yay!" I don't know. It was something really cheesy. Sitting on talking about stars, probably like the rest of this game. I mean, I did like the on that side topic. I guess I've never really gotten into this. I did like this game also because I did like the astronomy concept behind it. I do like the stars, and I do like astronomy and astrology and stuff like that. So it was definitely interesting to me, especially when they were doing all the like reports and stuff and the project scenes. I was like, oh, sweet, look at all this. But that's just me. I just like the theme. But yeah, I guess our route really wasn't that meh. I guess which leads us to our last two routes. We have Yume and Mare. So we're going to save Yume for a little bit here. Actually, I'm going to start with this question instead of just going into the route because this is the last question I had too. Yume is introduced as our main heroine of the game. A lot of times I consider the main heroine, and you could disagree with this, as the person who's introduced first. Like, it is the character that's introduced first and what they expect you to kind of attach to immediately. Yet some of her readers feel her presence falters as you are forced to play through every other route to enjoy her own. The mystery and build-up behind who she really is slowly overshadowed by the characters in the story. Other characters in the story. Do you feel this statement is true? If so, why? And do you think the Deus Ex Machina ending from her route, just what was happening with that, is appropriate for this visual novel based on its supernatural stuff, or was it just completely unnecessary and completely confusing and made no sense? And I'll open this up to Teddy first. Go ahead.
Well, I agree. I mean, I felt like there was supposed to be something towards the end that you're looking forward to, and all I got was like her shitting on the main protagonist. And like overall, I didn't like her character. I felt she was a little too forced to be like the overall arcing heroine, and it seems like Yo always talks about her to himself all the time, but yet I never understood what he like thought of her after he went with another route. Like
that is a good point. Sorry, Fawn, that you bring that up.
It's all good. And the ending was just, I don't know. I didn't understand it. All I noticed, I felt like it was a little odd. I don't know. At first, I didn't know what was going on because I looked ahead and I saw that it was like the same exact scenes over and over again until a breaking point of some sort. And the ending, I mean, the epilogue was nice, I guess.
Didn't she only have one H scene in her entire... I'm pretty sure it was one H scene,
Yeah,
wasn't it?
she did. Only one, and it was in the hospital.
Yeah, I remember that. It really was. That was extremely surprising to me, actually, just for the amount of other H scenes that other people got in the game. But just your route in general. I mean, Akis, what do you think about it? I mean, just in terms of route in general.
Well, I didn't even like too much the character when it was introduced. I mean, it was like, okay, the childhood friend, that's fine. But Joe gets to know a lot of other people, and by the time we get to Yume's route, you have read all the other characters. You whether like them or dislike them. And suddenly you have this overly obsessed Yo with a girl who tries too hard to be an older sister. And then we have that little thing that happens with Joe's mother. I don't even know why that's supposed to be in there. It's just confusing. It doesn't explain anything at all. And the fact that Yume fell asleep, you could say it that way, shouldn't have changed in any way. I mean, it should have happened even before the Deus Ex Machina.
I think the fact that she just had star cancer, and then she gets visited by Chinami's father, and then just all of a sudden apparently magically gets cured, also just confused the hell out of me. I still don't know what the hell happened in that scene. I just don't understand how I'm gonna cure your star. Like, are you telling me that the parents of this game were like the true heroes, and everyone should just be like, you're all useless? Like the parents, like the mom and the dad. Like, I don't really get what the heck happened, and it was really confusing to me. But I guess in terms of me for Yume, this was some of my favorite part about Hoshi Memo when I was playing it initially and what kept hooking me back. I liked the mystery at the beginning. I was being introduced to these girls that I knew these routes I would have to go down, but at the same time, at the end of every school day, he'd go to the library or he'd do something on the research of trying to find out who she is. And those are my favorite parts. Like, I loved the OSTs during that part. I loved the just the mystery behind it. It's like, all right, we finished another day of school, got to get to know the group, and now it's time to solve the mystery. And he would like go out, and I was hoping he'd do like more scenes where he'd like go out to the town and try to figure something out, because I like that kind of stuff. I like the kind of like mystery, and it's like he'd go to the lookout, and he'd do all this kind of stuff, and I really like that mystery behind it. Those are some of my favorite parts. And then you had to go down the other routes, and you realize like they're just completely ignoring what the whole point of this was. And then I thought like, okay, maybe something different's going to happen now that I've beaten one route. And then, it's one scene, and I'm like, the heck, this isn't even important. Like, just some girl walking who looks like she's in a pajamas, and that's it. And then it's like, and then it doesn't change anything in the story. And I was like, this is really dumb. And it was kind of disappointing. Like, that's what I loved about the common route, and then they took that all away, and then I kind of just lost interest in Yume, and I did not like her route. She was just like kind of I don't know what you're talking about type person, like you mentioned, and then the supernatural stuff happened, and it was just way over the top. And at the end of the day, I like was not satisfied, and some people would disagree with that, but I don't know, like that's how I felt, at least. I mean, any other thoughts on that?
No.
I mean, which kind of plays into the whole, like, I guess, mare route too that we could talk about. Okay, first of all, it's not even a route. I'm gonna say this straight out. It's not, and I don't even like. I really liked Mare as a character. I really did. And I feel they ruined it for me when they decided that they needed to put a route or some stupid ending, just because they needed to put some stupid ending and some lolly fetish for people with an H scene. And I was really disappointed because I really did enjoy Mare as a character, and throughout the entire story, like her mystery and help solving it. But I felt that's what she should have been, and the role she should have been would have been a character that you kind of just know, and that didn't happen, and I was disappointed in that. So, I mean, that's my opinion about it. I mean, a lot of other people, whose names I won't mention, also ruined her as a character for me, but that's a completely different story. What do you guys think about it? I guess Aki's, what do you think?
Well, like I said at the beginning, I don't really think of it as a route. It doesn't have story or problems of some sort like all others have. And it's just like, hey, I got obsessed with you, man, but then suddenly, I don't know, I like Mare. Then, like, have sex and take her home. Ending. Okay, what? That was all? I mean, I was really expecting something else. If you're going to... I believe she's on the game cover, one of the biggest characters, if you could say it that way. And when it's like that, you usually think it's an important character, or in its case, the main girl. So I thought it would be the best part of the game, but, well.
That's understandable. Teddy, what do you think?
Like, Mare's route, I mean, I liked Mare all throughout the common route. She kind of just disappears sometimes during the rest of the other routes, except for mainly Yume's. But, like, she felt like she changed character. I mean, I guess that was part of some of the point. I don't know. But she sent to, like, really, really loving and became really, really clingy to him. And he just it felt like, I kind of agree with Aki's, because it felt like he just kind of, after he got rejected from Yume, he just went and used her as like a pick-me-up type thing.
But even then, that doesn't make any sense to me, because throughout the entire game, she keeps pushing you away, and it's in that stupid, baka baka crap and all that stuff. And it's like, when did you just all of a sudden change your mind, and now you're just going to be like, oh, okay, fine. Like, excuse me. Like, I don't even know. It didn't, like, indicate anything to me about that, and that's what kind of disappointed me. It's like, this whole game, you're, like, completely seclusive and not telling me anything, and then all of a sudden you're just like, okay, well, I guess we're together. I mean, I felt it was unnatural, and I felt it was poorly executed. I don't know. I mean, what are your thoughts on that? I mean, as a character, like, do you feel like, do you feel it was like she was, like, it made sense, or was it just completely, like, out there?
I'd say out there, because, I mean, she seemed like a different character towards the end. Of like when her route, all throughout the main course of the game, she was very to herself. Given here and there, she'd get a little bit more, like, open up a little bit more, but not anything to any type of extent that the final route did. And overall, it just seemed kind of just there. I mean, the ending didn't make any sense to me. Like, she was just going to disappear. I don't know why. I can't remember why, if they told you. And overall, it just came kind of, like, pushed a little bit. I don't know.
It's also interesting you mentioned that, because, like, Mare, you said right when you opened that, like, it just felt like a different character. Even when you, like, I don't even know what the turning point was either. Because even when she was, like, saved from Kosame, she still was seclusive and didn't want to talk to you. It's not like I was like, well, he's my hero, so now we're best buds. Like, it was just, it didn't even, like, explain, like, how she just had a switch. There was no turning point. It just decided, it's like that guy that's like, hey, go out with me. No. Hey, go out with me. No. Hey, go out with me. Okay. And then just kind of just like happened. And it's like, well, if you keep asking, it'll work. And I mean, obviously, it wasn't like that's an extreme example, but like that's just what it felt like at the end. And I was like, why is this even? And you know, people say like, oh, it's one of the best routes. I'm like, it's not even a route. Like it's not. It's not. It's just at the end you decide, here's an H scene for you. All right, congrats. I don't know, Akis. Do you have any other thoughts?
Not really. I mean, I think this is one of the things we all agree with, and when I say all, I mean the three of us. I mean, Teddy is completely right. It feels like another character. I like how Mare was during the Common Road, even during the Other Girls Road. She wasn't attached to anything. Even if it might look like it, she really wasn't. And then suddenly she's like, oh, Joe is important to me. I don't know, what is this feeling I have? Some things like that.
I mean, and it did hint about that during the game. There were like certain scenes where she's like kept coming back and came to the Tenkuro and all that stuff. But like, do I really feel that she did that because of you? No, I really didn't. I don't, because it didn't hint at it enough, and it didn't really give me enough indication of that. So I really didn't feel like it was that's the reason. But yeah, like you said, I enjoyed Mare in common. I think she's absolutely crucial to the story and very important to the story, but I don't think she's important to say that, hey, you guys fell in love, congrats, here's an H scene. I mean, and people say, like, that's the true love of the game, and I'm like, no, it's not. It's just a fetish for people to enjoy. And I'm sorry, like, she's a great character, and that's what she should have been. And Yume's ending should have been like the official like ending to it, where she becomes your kid, and you go. Which it's interesting because the plot of, and I won't go into the spoilers because I obviously haven't played this game. This is just based on the synopsis. Is the plot of the second game is in Yume's arc of that route of Eternal Heart is finding Mare's meteor piece to find her, because it's just like the filler of what happens during that time. That's what basically the game is about in her route. Mare's route has really nothing to do with Mare. I won't spoil anything for you, but it's kind of funny. It literally just has nothing to do with her, because the creators, I believe, realized that this isn't a character that really anyone cares about except for the lolly type fetish, which I don't know. It's just my opinion. Any other thoughts on that?
No.
It's interesting you brought up the whole kid thing, because I mean, isn't she's supposed to be like part of the family, and then his daughter in the Yume raid?
I believe, yes, because what happens is they find the meteor piece, and then he keeps it with her, and then like because you can like recreate whatever you want in whatever age. I think that's the reason why Kosame is the age she is because I want to say that was the reason, is because Komomo makes it that way. Like, she expected that she was alive, so she just assumed she kept aging like normal. And so that's what her mind is going to say, because she's the one that summoned her as a star god or whatever, based on the meteor in the shrine. But I'm not sure on that. I'd have to go back and read it, so I could be wrong. But that's what I remember, and that's the same thing with like Mare, is that they probably they could reimagine her as just a regular kid.
Which is kind of
yeah, it's the same thing. I mean, it's it's what it is. I'm pretty sure, like, didn't she say she couldn't have kids or something, Yume? I want to say there was a scene with that too. I don't know. I don't know. Even her age scene, Yume's age scene, was bad. Like, God, it felt like she wasn't even like excited about it. It was just like, is this rape or is this like real sex? I didn't know what to feel about it, and it wasn't very well. Because then the next day she was just like, get away from me, as normal. It's
that was the part that pissed me off.
I mean, I'm okay with you just wanting the D.
I don't know, maybe she didn't like this having sex, and that's why she pushed him away.
I mean, that's fine, people want the D and they want to experience it, but like, And then the next day I don't expect you to just be like, get the hell away from me. And I'm like, excuse me? Like, I understand it being awkward, but you don't need to push me away. I don't know. So that's my final. Well, we got about 5 minutes left here of the episode. Do you guys have any final thoughts you want to share about it, or any other questions that we didn't address? I guess we can get to these two questions. I completely skipped these over. You might have already said this, but we'll just open it. Go ahead. Teddy, I'll open with you. Like, which of your Heroine's routes is your favorite? And just what was your favorite part about it? Just a specific scene or in general?
I would say Komomo. I mean, she was my favorite character.
Okay.
I don't know.
You just like the character in general?
Yeah, I mean, the route itself was good, and I think it led up well to Kusama's route. Kusama's route kind of wrapped it up in a bow.
Nice. Akis, what about you? What's your favorite?
I think it would be either Kasame or Komomo. I love how Komomo gets on her soft side, if you could call it that way, when you enter her route. And I simply fell for the scenes in Kasame's one when they're faking to be a couple.
Yeah, okay, interesting. That's an interesting point to put on. All right, and then we'll go into what was your least favorite route, and just what didn't you enjoy about it. I mean, again, you might have already said it, but I'm just curious what your least favorite route is.
I would say Inami or Ali. I mean, they're really similar, and I just generally didn't like.
I hated Ali. I hated his
I mean, like, I felt Inami's was important, but character was just, and Ali just overall I didn't. I mean,
fair enough.
Ollie,
and what about you, Akis?
Tsunami's worth, definitely.
It's very interesting. You guys are the ones that volunteered for this episode, but I expected one person to sing Tsunami's praise, and I was hoping. But apparently everybody hates Tsunami. I have nothing wrong with that, because I do not like her as a character whatsoever. I did feel for her and felt she was a good character when she got into her, serious mode, especially in Izuzu's route. But as an overall character, when she's optimistic, I just wanted to punch her in the face and did not like her. And it bugged the crap.
Classic Onichen.
I don't even. God, like it would have been fine if that was just her trademark line, but the fact that literally the second scene in the game lasts 20 minutes of her just continuously doing it, I'm like, yep, you definitely made me hate this character in the first 20 minutes of the game. Good job, favorite. Good job. I don't want to ever see her again. But all right. Well, I mean, any last additional thoughts, questions, or anything else you guys want to share?
Yeah, I have a little thing. I really would have liked to see Yo and Taiga interacting, even if a little. It's said that they're father and son, but they don't really meet face to face.
No, they don't, and that's interesting because in Ollie's route, I felt that it was hinting that it was his father who was the one doing that, but they never actually meet face to face. You're right. There is one time they do, and it's just not even a scene, it's assumed. I forgot what route it was. He goes and asks him a question or something, and they finds out the information, but it's just kind of assumed that. I swear there's a scene in there somewhere. I don't remember where though.
Oh, it was they were asking for information about. I thought it was a school director or something like that.
Yeah, and then he actually went to him and talked to him, but it doesn't show any of that, which would have been really nice for the story, and it didn't. And I was like, okay, whatever, because his dad's just kind of doing his own little thing, and he really only interacts with the shrine, the mom of Kasami and them. I can't remember her name right now. And they don't really act, because all those guys were part of the Tenkuru, and it was just kind of disappointing that they didn't all interact or whatever, but they did all go to the beach together. Yay, the beach. But yeah, okay. Any last thoughts, or are we good?
Good.
All right, guys. With that, that'll be the end of the episode. Thank you for joining me. We'll upload this episode. Any other additional thoughts on this? Feel free, you guys, to post in the Fuwacast podcast forum. I always like to have discussion. I think I might be doing that here in the next set of episodes. After each one of these podcasts is released, I might actually do some follow-up questions in the thread to get other people who didn't get a chance to, get them kind of motivated to read it. If it is a spoiler one, obviously I will put it like maybe in a separate thread or something for spoilers. But just to kind of get some discussion going on the forums too. So thanks guys for coming, and we will see you next time. Now we've caught up, so there will be new ideas, and I'm looking for new ideas. I have some ideas for podcasts. I'm also hoping to do 2 podcasts for the 2 visual novels that are being made from scratch, which is the Lucid Project one, the Mystery VN, and the what's the other one? The Something Ribbon, Pure Ribbon Studios, which is also making one as well. And I might, I've gotten emails and contact information for interviewing those guys as well. So hopefully I'll be able to see what their projects are all about, and we can make some podcasts for them. With that, thanks guys for coming, and we'll talk to you later. Feel free to say bye, guys.
See ya.
See ya.
Bye.